Sanadu.
Welcome back. Today we're diving into the Seoul Economic Daily's front page. We'll break down the really key stories for you.
Yes, and today's edition, it really paints a picture, doesn't it? We've got some major themes: presidential warnings on finance, corporate success stories, and even some geopolitical tremors affecting local industry.
It really covers a lot of ground, so our mission, as always, is to synthesize this, make sense of these big forces for you.
Exactly. We're looking at, huge corporate growth on one hand, but maybe some structural fragility underneath in finance and society. Let's try and connect those dots.
Okay, let's jump right in. Starting at the top, President Lee Jae-myung made some pretty strong statements at the State Council meeting about the economy, specifically real estate.
Strong is maybe an understatement. He called the overheating housing market a bomb relay. That's quite a phrase.
A bomb relay. Wow. What's the thinking there? He explicitly said it's bound to crash eventually. He seemed genuinely worried that prices are just, well, completely overvalued. He even drew a parallel to Japan's financial crisis.
The lost decades triggered by that asset bubble collapse. So he fears a similar kind of long-term stagnation here if this continues.
That seems to be the core concern. He's arguing the speculation has gone too far, that it's unsustainable.
So beyond the strong words, what's the action plan? Is he just warning, or is there more?
Oh, there's more. He's calling for a major shift in investment away from just buying property and towards what he termed productive finance.
Productive finance. Sounds a bit like jargon. What does that mean in practice?
Yeah, it does a bit. Basically, it means putting money into things that actually grow the economy long term. Think R&D, new technologies, venture capital, expanding businesses, not just assets sitting there getting more expensive.
So steering capital towards innovation and real industry, and how's he planning to enforce that? Because warnings often fade.
Well, this is where it gets serious. They're setting up a new, permanent real estate supervisory agency right under the Prime Minister's office.
A permanent agency, not just a task force. And I saw the police are involved. That sounds quite significant.
It really does signal a shift. It's not temporary. They're pulling staff from Land Ministry, the Financial Services Commission, the Tax Service, and the police. That gives it real teeth, both for regulation and, immediate investigation.
Okay, so they have the power. But what are they targeting specifically? Can an agency alone really fix something as big as the housing market?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Its immediate focus seems to be on, let's say, the illegal side of things, cracking down on things like up contracts, manipulating reported prices, tax evasion.
And the article mentioned even AI-driven manipulation, like false advertising online.
Exactly. Stuff that distorts the market illegally. They want to cut off that illicit profit. But you're right, it doesn't directly address the fundamental issue of, say, housing supply, which many argue is the real root cause.
And it wasn't just housing prices. The president also had words for the banks, right, regarding lending.
Yes, he did. He criticized the way banks apply these sort of standardized high interest rates to lower-income borrowers. He called it cruel.
Cruel. Strong language again. Questioning the risk assessment.
Pretty much. Questioning if it's fair to just assign high risk, and thus high rates, purely based on income bracket without looking deeper.
So with all this pressure, what's the market expecting? Any specific rule changes anticipated?
The main speculation you hear is about tightening the DSR, the debt service ratio.
Ah, the DSR. So limiting how much people can borrow relative to their income?
Precisely. If they tighten that, it reduces the total amount people can borrow, which should, in theory, cool down demand fueled by easy credit.
Okay, so the government's trying to tackle that housing issue. But wow, it seems like other policies might be creating a whole different kind of problem. Let's talk about this marriage penalty. The numbers are quite startling.
They really are. It's shocking. Get this. 1 in 5 newlyweds delayed registering their marriage by a year or more in 2023. That's 19%.
1 in 5. And that's nearly double what it was a decade ago.
Almost double, yeah, up from about 11% in 2014. And look, this isn't some cultural shift away from marriage. It's people making calculated economic decisions. They're staying faux single on paper.
So single. Why? What's the penalty for actually registering the marriage?
It hits you in 3 main ways. Loans, housing applications, the Cheonyak system, and taxes. It's kind of a mess.
Okay, break that down. How do loans become a problem?
Well, take something like the Stepping Stone loan, meant to help young people buy homes. A single person might qualify based on their income, say, under 60 million won.
Right.
But if they get married, the combined income cap might only go up to, say, 85 million.
Yeah.
If they're both working, earning decent salaries, suddenly their combined income pushes them over the limit. They're disqualified.
So two individuals might qualify separately, but together as a married couple, they don't. That seems counterintuitive.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And then there's the Qianjiang system, the public housing subscription.
The lottery for apartments, yeah.
As singles, they can both apply. 2 chances, get married, boom. 1 application per household. Your odds are cut in half, basically.
Okay, that's a clear disadvantage. But the tax issue sounded particularly wild.
Oh, it's a potential nightmare. Imagine this. You and your partner each own a small apartment before you meet. You get married, register it. Instantly, the government sees you as one household owning 2 homes.
Which triggers the multi-homeowner tax penalties.
Exactly. You could suddenly face a much higher acquisition tax rate, maybe jumping from 3% up to 8% in some areas, just because you signed the marriage certificate. It's punishing people for getting married if they already own property.
Oh, it sounds like a tangle of rules that actively discourage marriage registration. And the social consequence. The article mentioned the out-of-wedlock birth rate.
Yeah, that's doubled too, up to 5.8% in 2023. Now, correlation isn't causation, but it's hard to ignore.
Why would that be linked?
Because by staying legally single, a parent might qualify for better public housing options, maybe certain tax breaks or loan benefits that are targeted specifically at single-parent households. Those benefits can disappear if they register their marriage.
So it's become a survival strategy almost.
It seems that way for some. Representative Young Il-young called the government's attempts to fix this MIR-L measures like tiny, inadequate patches.
Kilkimum, like just fiddling around the edges.
Exactly. He argued, and it's hard to disagree, that we need a fundamental rethink of how housing, tax, and finance rules interact. They're just not working together coherently.
It really paints a picture of domestic policy friction.
Okay, let's completely switch gears now. From domestic headaches to, well, some very bright spots in the corporate world. Samsung Electronics.
Yes, a definite bright spot. They reported what the market is calling an earnings surprise for the third quarter. Really strong numbers.
How strong are we talking? Record quarterly revenue, 86 trillion won. And operating profit hit 12.1 trillion won. That profit number was about 20% higher than what analysts expected, and it's their best in 3 years.
Wow, 20% above expectations is huge. What fueled that? Was it just selling more phones?
Not primarily phones, no. The big driver was memory semiconductors, especially the high-end stuff. Demand for chips used in AI servers is surging.
Ah, the AI boom effect.
Absolutely. And Samsung really ramped up its supply of high-bandwidth memory, HBM. That's the really specialized high-performance memory that AI processors need.
HBM. Okay, so that's the key technology driving profits right now. Because it's complex and high margin?
Precisely. It's not your standard memory chip. And because of this success, Samsung actually reclaimed the #1 spot in the global memory market that includes both DRAM and NAND flash.
Took the top spot back from SK Hynix.
Yep, logged $19.4 billion in memory sales. It's a significant win for them.
That is a major turnaround. What's the outlook? Can they hold that lead?
Well, the signs are pretty positive. The expectation is they'll solidify that lead, especially looking towards 2025 when they start mass-producing their next generation HBM, the HBM4, likely for major clients like NVIDIA.
Keeping ahead technologically. And they're trying to keep their talent too, right? Something about stock compensation.
That's right. Chairman Lee Jae-young brought in a performance-linked stock unit program, PSU, basically to reward and retain those top engineers who are crucial for staying ahead in things like HBM. It's about securing that human capital.
So, strong corporate performance, providing maybe some balance to the domestic worries. But then there's the international picture. This brings us to the last big story. China sanctioning Hanwha Ocean subsidiaries.
Yeah, this one landed like a bit of a shock. China has sanctioned 5 U.S.-based subsidiaries of Hanwha Ocean.
5 subsidiaries, including the Philly shipyard that President Lee visited not long ago.
That's the one. Hanwha Philly Shipyard is on the list. And China was very direct about why. Retaliation. Explicitly, retaliation against the U.S. Trade Act 301 investigation into China's own maritime and shipbuilding industries.
Okay, but Hanwha is a Korean company, even if these are U.S. subsidiaries. How did they justify targeting Hanwha?
China's claim is that these Hanwha subsidiaries supported and assisted, that's the key phrase, the U.S. investigation. And by doing so, China argues they threaten China's sovereignty and security interests.
Supported and assisted, that sounds like a broad justification. It feels targeted, though, given Hanwha's role in U.S. shipbuilding efforts.
Extremely targeted. Hanwha Ocean is a central player in the Mastier Initiative the Make American Shipbuilding Great Again project.
Right, MASGA, rebuilding U.S. shipbuilding capacity.
And China clearly sees MASGA as a strategic move by the U.S. and its allies, including Korea, to counter China's own rapidly growing naval and commercial shipbuilding power. By hitting Hanwha, especially the U.S. parts central to MASGA, China is sending a direct message. They're attacking the project's viability.
So it's less about Hanwha itself and more about disrupting that U.S.-Korea cooperation on shipbuilding, using a Korean company as leverage in the bigger U.S.-China conflict.
That seems to be exactly the play. It creates uncertainty, raises concerns about cooperation, and sets a really uncomfortable precedent.
A precedent that other companies working on U.S.-led initiatives might now worry about.
Absolutely. It signals that third-party companies from allied nations could face direct sanctions just for participating in projects that China perceives as threatening. It definitely complicates things for international businesses caught in the middle.
So quite a mix today, but domestic policy challenges, incredible corporate strength, and sharp geopolitical edges. Jump, jump, you, yalla, yo, you. Yeah,
Yeah, hey, go.
you, yeah, the king.
Come on, move, it's for 100.